Welcome along to this Yin Yoga Therapy practice. My name is Zuri and I'd like to guide you through a 1 hour practice of transformation and change. Come and join me. Welcome, good to see you. So for the practice here tonight, you're either going to use a yoga mat or a towel or a blanket on the floor. You may need a few props. So what I recommend is maybe a cushion or a block or a bolster, and you might choose to have a blanket for the end of the practice as well. So let's make a start. I would like you to sit in a comfortable seated position, whether that's sitting cross-legged or kneeling. Just check in with your own body. I'm choosing a cushion just under my sit bones to give me a little bit of support. And from this position, we'll just start to tune into the breath. Now you can close your eyes down if you want to. You can rest your hands, just cupping one hand on top of the other into your lap. You could bring your hands into heart prayer position. Another option is just to place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. So calmly breathing in, calmly breathing out. Maybe listening to the sound and the rhythm of your breath. Maybe counting the rhythm of your inhale. And then exhaling for the same count, the same rhythm. Be able to feel the coolness or the warmth of your breath on the tip of your nose. What you might notice is as you start to connect to your breath, this sense of calmness comes over us. The breath has a natural calming effect on our nervous system. Helps to center us. As we begin our practice, just bringing your whole being, your whole awareness to this moment. Physically, you might be able to feel your body sitting, whether you're on a cushion or sitting on the firmness of the ground. Maybe you can feel the temperature of the air on your skin. Maybe you can feel movements. If you're placing your hands on your body, you can feel the movements of your breath as your chest, your belly just gently moves as you breathe in and breathe out. Keep following the flow of your breath. We'll take a couple more rounds. And just one more round of your breath here. As you're ready to move, let's come into our first asana of the practice. And if you have a cushion, what I'd like you to do is take a seated position where you place the cushion where it's going to rest under the back of your rib cage. As you roll down, cushion can go either under your thoracic spine, under the rib cage, just under the back of the shoulders. And then we bring the soles of the feet together. And there's a couple of options. You can leave your arms, which is the option I'm going to go for here today. But another option is the arms above. But I really want to go really gentle to begin the practice. So the option I'm choosing, the one I'd recommend, is just having your arms beside your body. settle in. Come back to the awareness of your breath again. So very slightly elevated, lifted the chest, lifted the lower back. So that your head and your hips slightly lower. Resting into the sleeping butterfly. And as the name suggests, with the sleeping butterfly, just an opportunity just to settle, to calm your nervous system. You've been rushing around today. Maybe a few big sighs as you start to unwind. The Yin practice is a very slow, very gentle, very passive practice of yoga. Sometimes we just need to give ourselves permission to slow down, to rest. As you're following the flow of your breath, notice, is it easy for you to breathe? Is it easy for you to follow the flow of your breath? You might experience some sensations as you rest your body into this pose. Whatever you feel, just let it be. We don't have to understand what it is that we feel, don't have to have any storyline attached to the sensations being felt, but just allow ourselves to be present in each moment, in each pose. If we were to take just maybe the last couple of rounds of your breath here. On your last breath out, empty out with a sigh. And slowly bring the soles of the feet back to the floor as you gently roll over onto one side. So I'm going to just remove my cushion from underneath me and just come into what I call the fetal position. So just roll over onto your side, tuck your body into a tight little ball shape. And then whenever you feel ready to move, lightly press the hands into the floor as you bring your body up. Again, if you wanted to, we can use the cushion. This time I'm going to place my cushion underneath my hips. I'm going to sit on it. So rise your hips up, and we're coming into a half butterfly. So maybe start with your legs extended out in front of you. And there's a little bit of space between the feet. And if I draw that right leg in, you can play around with different ranges of movement. Could be towards the inner thigh, halfway down the shin, or tuck it up nice and high towards the groin. You might need some support under that bent knee. Take a gentle breath in, just to encourage you to lengthen the sides of your body and gently fold forwards over the straight leg rather. Now if this straight leg, if this stresses the knee out, you could place a cushion, or if you have a blanket, I've got a little blanket here, you could push a blanket just lightly under the knee just to elevate that straight leg. So the heel is on the ground, the foot's still supported, but I'm just taking the stress out of the knee joint. So there's a lovely option to start with. So coming into the half butterfly, gentle forward fold, forward flexion. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes down. And come back to the awareness of your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. So as we go through the practice here today, my intention is to hold you in each of the poses for around about 3, maybe 4 minutes. But at any point, you can decide to come out of the yoga pose and you feel that you might have had enough. Maybe just lay on your back or on your tummy. And it's interesting because when we go into the pose initially, sometimes we feel very little. And the longer we stay, the more we start to feel. But for some of us, it could be completely the other way around. We might feel a lot going into the pose initially. And as we settle in and start to rest into the pose, we might start to feel less. Whatever you're experiencing, just let every sensation be felt. So feel everything, deny nothing. But know that if you feel nothing, it's part of the practice. In one moment you might feel everything, in the next you might feel very little. Trust the process, everything changes. Just like the gentle ebb and flow of your breath, the sensations feeling in the body will change from moment to moment, from breath to breath. We'll take just a couple more rounds of your breath here. And as you empty out with your last breath, release that breath away from your body as you gently walk the hands back towards you. Now keep the front leg, which is my right leg, bent, and maybe lean towards the right as you draw the left leg behind you. So take in the straight leg and bend it. Coming into deer pose, so I'm going to lean on a slight angle over that right leg. Now you could lower down just towards your forearms. You could make fists, placing one fist on top of the other, and rest your forehead on your knuckles. You could extend the arms out all the way and rest your forehead towards the ground. Again, you're going to need to navigate and figure this out in your body, what it is that your body needs. It'll be different for each of us. And it's interesting that, you know, in the yoga practice, a lot of the yoga poses are named after animals. And the pose reflects a lot of the energy of the animal. And this is known as the deer pose. We think of the animal, the deer, is a very shy and very timid animal. But it's very in tune and it's very aware. It can respond very quickly to the slightest sound or movement. It senses its awareness and its presence of being is almost second to no other animal. And so as I'm connecting into this pose, and it really targets the area around the hips, the top of the thighs, working into the emotional center of the body, I would encourage you to go gentle. You know, be like the deer, be very shy and almost gentle with yourself as you navigate into this space, and be in awareness of tuning inwards, becoming more self-aware in the pose. And as we take just again a couple more rounds of your breath, breathing in and breathing out. And your last breath, empty out with a big sigh. As you use your arms to gently assist your body, come up to a seated position and just bring both your legs out in front of you. Now you might choose to just gently move your feet from side to side, wiggle your toes, maybe create little circles, just to get the circulation moving back into the feet. And we will repeat that on the other side. So we're starting with the half butterfly. This time I'll keep the right leg straight, draw the left one in. The sole of the foot turns in, the knee gently turns out. Try not to give too much. We just gently lengthen through the sides of the body. So breathe in, up through the spine. Exhale, gently flex forward towards the straight leg. So you might be on a very subtle, slight angle in a forwards direction. If you're using your arms to draw your body forwards, make sure that you're not pulling yourself forwards. So I would encourage you to have slightly bent elbows. So whether you rest your forearms, they will take the stress out of the shoulders and the upper half of the body. And as I said earlier, each of the yoga poses, there's a different energy associated with each of the poses. And this one is the butterfly pose, where it's actually a half butterfly. And what I love about the butterfly pose is it reminds me that what it is that we do does affect us, and it does make a difference. And sometimes we forget that what it is that we're doing, even the simple acts of being here in the practice, is making a difference. What you do, how you behave. And so there's just a gentle reminder as we navigate our way through the practice. The energy of each of these poses will stay with you long after the practice. So if you don't feel the effects of these poses straight away, practice acceptance of what is right now. Trust the process and let it all unfold in its own time. As we take just a couple more rounds of the breath here. Empty out with a big sigh and gently use your arms to navigate your way back to a seated position. Keep the bent leg bent, maybe lean towards it. As you draw the straight leg around, we're transitioning into deer pose. Slightly lean forward, so I'm going to lean towards that bent leg, so the left side, coming either down onto your forearms or extend the arms out in front. Take as much as you need, but not too much. The aim in the Yin practice is to give around about 50–60% of effort at most. Don't want to give too much, we don't want to force the body. Remember, this is a very gentle, calming, passive practice of yoga. but we don't want to give too little so that we don't feel a connection to the practice, that we may almost start to wander off. You know, the mind gets easily distracted. So we want to feel an awareness to being in each of the poses, but not feeling too much. And remember, those sensations may change from moment to moment, from breath to breath. As we're targeting the area around the top of your thighs, might be into the quad muscle, the thigh of the leg that you're moving away from. You might feel that as a compression into the hip flexor of the leg that you're leaning in towards. And again, I'm reminding as I settle into the deer pose that, you know, the deer has very petite, very spindly little legs, but it can move at high speed. It can move very quickly. It has a lot of power. So you might be feeling a lot of energy as you're connecting into this pose. As we take just maybe one more round of the breath here. Empty out maybe with a big sigh. Walking your hands back towards your body. As we come into rebound, I'm going to roll over and lay on my tummy. So lie face down. You can choose to take your head on one side, rest your head in the middle. Both arms, both legs heavy on the mat. Settle your body, rest a while. The rebound is such an important part of the yin practice. It looks like we're laying here doing absolutely nothing, but we're allowing the energy of those first few asanas, those first few poses, to land in the body. We're bringing our body, our energy back into balance. Remember, this is your practice. You could choose to stay here for maybe a few moments longer, taking whatever it is that you need. And then whenever you feel ready to move, let's transition into the Sphinx pose. So a couple of options is we could use just the arms for support, stacking your elbow under your shoulder. So you create that straight line from elbow to shoulder joint with the weight down through your arms and through your forearms. But this might be a little bit too high for some of you, so we could take a cushion and bring it in front. So you drape almost your arms over the front of your cushion, so it's almost stacked under your sort of armpits. And you can see that my body goes a little bit lower. So this could be option here, or elbows under the shoulders. Coming into the Sphinx pose. This pose tends to increase the energy flow, so it has a sense of lifting the energy in your body. So if you feel that you've been in a funk, you can't sort of get your sort of motivation to do anything, you're feeling like you're lacking in energy, this pose is such a beautiful pose to start to draw the energy up. Where the target is maybe the lower back or the back of your hips, the back of your pelvis. And as your head is above your shoulders and your shoulders above your hips, Get the sense that you're allowing your spine to hang off your shoulders. Quite often when we practice yin, a lot of people think that they have to be really still and not allowed to move. It is a very slow, gentle, passive practice, but you are allowed to move throughout the practice if you need. But the Sphinx pose, to me, is a really still pose where you're trying to resist any temptation to fidget or move. In this pose you could choose to close your eyes down, that's the option I'm taking. If you choose to keep your eyes open, focus towards the end, the tip of your nose. As you're breathing, connecting to your breath, notice, is it easy for you to breathe? Is it easy for you to maintain that connection to your breath? And is it easy for you to follow the flow of your breath? As we come into the last couple of moments, breathing in, breathing out. Open the mouth, empty out with a big sigh, big release. As you come out of this one, I'm going to choose my head on the side, but choosing the other side this time, so resting ear or cheek. And I've just opted to go to the other side. You could rest your head in the middle. And now coming back to that gentle rebound, just let the energy gently flow. Allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to be present to the practice. Again, this is your practice, so you could decide to stay here maybe just a little while longer. And then whenever you feel ready to move, using your arms, let's gently navigate our way back to a upright position. So I'd like you to come into a dragonfly pose, but we're going to take a couple of different options. So again, I'm going to choose to sit up on my cushion for a little bit of support here. So place that cushion under your hips. It'll help to tilt the pelvis just nicely. So if you take the legs out wide, now to me the dragonfly is the ultimate pose connected to transformation and change. Now we're going to play around with a few different elements to this. Keep your left leg where it is, but draw your right leg in. So it comes in towards you. Again, you might need to support that bent leg with a cushion. So it looks very similar to a pose that we did earlier on in the practice. So it was the half butterfly. But you'll notice this leg is much wider. So again, gently take a breath in like you're drawing up through the spine just to create length, but Don't force the back to be upright. And then exhale, gently rotate towards that bent leg. Now you could use your own body for support. So I'm taking opposite hand towards opposite thigh. Try not to pull. Just gently give it a little bit of support. The other hand can either be on the floor or your cushion, or you can wrap it around your waistline. So I'd like to come into this very gentle twist. Now you're turning towards the bent leg. So we might be feeling this as a connection down through the inside of the leg, inner thigh, maybe inside of the knee or hamstring muscle. It's interesting because the dragonfly has two elements to it. It has both water and fire element. The element of water is the healing properties to this pose, and the fire energy is sometimes that intense energy that you can feel into on the inside of the leg. Remember, the inside of the leg, the inner thigh, there's a major artery that runs through the inside of your leg. And so that, there's a lot of energy that runs into this part of your body. Some of the strongest and longest muscles in your body run through this area of your body. So it's no surprise that you're going to be feeling a lot in this pose. So again, just trust the process. If we were to take just one more round of the breath here, again, gently empty out with a sigh. And what I'd like you to do this time is keep that leg bent, but sort of walk your hands all the way around. And so you come towards the straight leg, so you're twisting, and then you can just lean slightly over towards that straight leg. So again, it has an element of twist in it with this one here. So the twisting sense works into the thoracic spine. So we're twisting from rib cage, spinal rotation, and hinging slightly forward. Again, elbows slightly bent, a little bit like the half butterfly we did before. So if you were to straighten your arms and kind of reach forward, that would be a very yang energy. But if you soften your elbows, that's more of a yin energy. And that's what we're trying to connect into in the practice. Aiming for that round about 50–60% of effort. So I said as we were coming into the dragonfly that to me the dragonfly is the ultimate symbol of transformation and change, and basically it helps us. We can call upon the dragonfly when we're struggling with change in our life, when we're feeling that, it's all getting a little bit too much, when we're resisting change. Call upon the energy of the dragonfly to assist you and guide you through transformation. And why is the dragonfly so associated with transformation? If you think of the dragonfly, how it moves, and quite often you see it around water, bodies of water, it moves very quickly. Now the dragonfly can move in many different directions, forwards, backwards, up, down, right to left. It can also hover. So it has the ability to move very quickly in any direction that it needs to move in. And so it has that sense of transformation, change. It can adapt really quickly. So as we're drawing on the energy of the dragonfly, we're calling that into our body. It will assist and help us to navigate periods of change and transformation in our life. So empty out with a big sigh. Come up and out of it. Nice. And this time, if you straighten the bent leg, and now you bend this one. So we're going to try and repeat that whole process. So again, length and just draw up through the side body. Keep this leg nice and long and wide. Twist around to one side. So spinal rotation. As you're twisting, just make sure that the weight is into both bony sit bones, that we don't shift all the weight up and over to that left sit bone. You want that relationship through the pelvis, through the sit bones. And even if you're just sitting, you know, I've just got that cushion kind of just under sit bones, just gently tilting my pelvis slightly forwards. You know, and I talked about the element of the dragonfly being two elements, water and fire. You know, and the water energy, we know that dragonflies live or spend most of their time near to or close to bodies of water, and water is seen as an element connected to healing. It's sometimes used in ceremonies for blessings, you know, in baptism. And so the water element to the dragonfly is the healing part. And it's that connection to finding ease in the pose to breathe into. That even though this pose might be challenging, might have that fiery energy, that there may be moments of calmness and healing. Even if we're not getting that sense of healing right now, right here today, trust the process. Surrender yourself to the practice. All will unfold in its own time. Follow the flow of your breath in and out of your body. As you take just one more round of your breath here, and just gently take your hands and kind of walk your hands around to the other side. And again, let your body catch up. Don't have to move too suddenly or too quickly. You've got plenty of time in this practice. And then lean and shift forwards over that straight leg. And remember, that leg is nice and wide. I'm going to keep soft elbows to honor the yin aspect of the practice. If I had straight arms and was pulling myself forwards, that would be very much a yang energy. And the intention is to work into yin energy. So I call upon the dragonfly when I feel stuck. I call upon the dragonfly to inspire me to bring out the change that's within me, to help me to adapt, to transform. And you'll notice that we're slightly folding forwards with this one. They get that sense of turning inwards, that connection to self, a little bit of self-discovery time here. Breathing in, breathing out. Again, either the eyes are closed, or if the eyes are open, just having a fixed point of focus, whether you're looking towards the knee or tip of your nose. But allow yourself to be still and present, not just to the moment, being present to being in the pose, mind, body and soul. Yes, that mind will try to distract you, it will try to pull you out of the pose. When those thoughts come, but let them go. And then gently walk your hands back towards your body for the ultimate dragonfly, where I take both the legs out nice and wide. And again, I'm sitting just up on a cushion, just a little bit of support for my pelvis, and then taking the hands in front, walk. So I'm going to keep those elbows soft. So this is not a rounded position, more of a lean. So we actually want to feel the movement come from the pelvis. Now this part of your body, working down through hips, through pelvis, in the yoga practice we call it our emotional body. Now water connects us to our emotional body. So we might still be feeling that fire energy, where we're feeling that intensity through the inside of the legs, through the inner thighs, the inside of your knee, hamstring muscles. But as we hinge from the pelvis, leading with the heart as you bring your chest forwards, as that connection down through hips and pelvis draws us closer to that emotional body, the element of water. Call upon the dragonfly. Find your way to your breath, to being present. If you find that intensity is building up on the inside of the legs, use your breath out to let that energy go. Maybe opening your mouth, releasing. There's a direct reflection between tension held in the hips that can be reflected into the area around your jaw. So if you're tending to clench your jaw, you tend to grind your teeth, then what I want you to do is to relax, maybe open the mouth slightly, and notice if that has an effect, a calming effect with the hips and the pelvis. Now the technique is to take the tip of the tongue and lightly press it to the roof of your mouth. We are staying just a couple more rounds of your breath here. Breathing into the sides of your body as you inhale. Exhaling fully and completely. And as you bring your body upright and bring those legs back, it might feel a little unusual to bring those legs back to center. Let's come into rebound. For this rebound, I'm taking the option of taking my cushion under the back of my knees. So roll down, allow your body to be held, to be supported. Maybe cushion, blanket, rolled up towel, whatever you've got for support under the back of your knees. Arms beside you, shoulders back, palms rotated up. I do remember when I first started practicing Yin, I remember I always tried to do it alone. And what I mean by that, in the sense of I didn't use many props. I found it quite easy to get into the poses. Like for me personally, I find it quite easy to lay flat on my back with my legs and my arms being supported by the ground. But what I started to sort of figure out through practicing Yin is that when I took support and just shifted and changed the angles of my body, it felt different. And that process of being supported was a big part of my practice for me, in enabling myself not only to be supported and held in my practice, but to be supported and held in my own life, professional, personal life. The Yin practice is such a powerful practice. You know, from the outside in, when people watching us or kind of looking at it, it could be seen as very easy practice. It looks so simple, doesn't it? I can still feel the energy of the dragonfly landing in my body. I can still feel tingling sensations on my inner thighs. I'm just going to hold space for you just a little longer in this space. The gentle rebound. The art of relaxing, resting and reclining. Give yourself permission to be fully present in this moment. Now, whenever you feel ready, maybe just move your fingers, your toes, walk your feet back towards you. And I'd like you to come up again, maybe roll over onto your side first. As we come into the child's pose, so for this one here, big toes together, knees slightly wider than your hips. Again, you might choose to take a cushion and take it in front of you so that you can rest your forehead on a cushion. I'm personally going to just use the ground and kind of take that cushion between your hips and your heels. A lot of people find it intense into the knee joint or between, you know, sort of sitting back on their feet. You could even place a blanket under the feet. So sometimes the top of the feet is the pressure point. So we want to feel a connection to being in this pose, but we don't want to feel too much. You don't want to feel, you know, super uncomfortable, or you don't want to feel any pain. You just want to have an awareness to being in each of the poses. So let's settle in the child's pose. We have a subtle turn out of the legs, the knees just slightly wider than the hips. And this is the ultimate rest position. Calming the nervous system, slowing your energy down. And again, I said this earlier that most of the yoga poses are named after animals. And this one, the child's pose. And we often think about it, and you hear this expression of connecting to your own inner child. But what does that mean? And I often think that this pose reminds me that the child energy within, because it never leaves us, in a child's world, their world, and in their life, it's quite often all about them. They kind of know how to get their needs met. You know, I remember when my children were very little, you know, it was all about me, you know. And it's a survival mechanism that children very quickly get their needs met, even if it means through having tantrums or crying and making lots of noise. But you know what? It's not a bad way to be, making your life all about you. You know, what is it that you need? Quite often, emotions are connected to when we have an unmet need. And so if we can take an opportunity to sit and think, what is it that I actually need? And figuring it out. And sometimes that opportunity in child's pose, when you slow down, you switch off the outside world, the distractions, and you focus in and you look in, you connect into your own heart space. And make it all about you. Yes, connect to your inner child, but more than that, give yourself permission to have an awareness to your childlike energy. You are still that child that has many needs. Come into the last minute of this pose. As you gradually bring your body out of it, walk your hands back towards your body. So you come into a kneeling position. Again, you might need to use a support. You could take your cushion between your hips and your heels. I just want to bring the back into an upright position. You may choose to place your hands. At the beginning of the practice, remember we started in either kneeling or cross-legged seated position. And if you just place your hands, either one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, or maybe the hands in heart prayer position. I just want you to take a couple of rounds of your breath, bringing your spine into a neutral upright position. You can visualize your breath coming up through your spine as you breathe in and down through your spine as you breathe out. Again, hands on the body, it's a nice way to connect in. Maybe feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. Maybe feel the breath moving deep into the abdomen as you breathe. Take one more round of your breath here. Empty out with a big sigh. And as we come into the final asana of this practice, make your way into shavasana. I'm going to again use a cushion just to support the legs. Maybe take a blanket now, would be a nice time to place something over your body, just to keep your body maybe a little warmer. You'll notice that generally I keep longer layers, long tops, socks for yin, because we move so slowly. It's such a gentle practice, but now when I get to the end, wrapping my body up even further, even that sense of protection, feeling like I'm in a little, almost coming into a little cocoon. So the ultimate pose of stillness and silence, shavasana, sometimes known as the corpse pose, where the body's so still and lifeless. Let me hold space for you in the stillness and silence as you get to hold space for yourself in that stillness and silence now. whenever you feel ready to move your body. Let's start with just gently moving the fingers, moving your toes. As you make your way over onto your side, come into fetal position. Tuck your body into a tight little ball shape. Pressing the hands into the floor, use your arms to gently support your body as you come out of it. I'm going to finish this practice like we started here today. Find a rested, seated position to come into, or kneeling position. Raise the hands, the energy up towards the heart. As we bring this practice to an end here today, I bow my head to the earth and say to you, Namaste.